Welcome to Zonie Living, Business, Adventure, and Leadership. We've got a really fantastic program today, and we'll start with a healthy diet. The founder of Next Veg, Jonathan Natsuki, has created a plant-based whole food that people just love. He makes burgers, tacos, and gyros, and doesn't try to imitate meat. Also, we're going to the slopes where it's full-on spring skiing. We'll take a look at how to slide into next winter season with great adventures and discounts. Meanwhile, NASA astronauts are in training for the Artemis Moon mission. I'll introduce you to two women whose love for rocks is playing a major role in space history. But first, with me live from Flagstaff is Jonathan Natsuki, founder of Next Veg, what he calls the next generation of plant-based meat replacements. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate being on the show.
Thanks for joining us. It looks like you're there in your kitchen where perhaps it all began.
You know, I am here at home in my kitchen. I can hear my kid jumping around in the trampoline outside, and a lot of experimentation has been done here, as well as with some of our partners around Flagstaff.
Well, fantastic. Well, your Next Veg product is being served all around Flagstaff and everywhere from fine dining establishments to even a truck stop, and people are really excited about it. So tell us about your products and what they're made of.
You know, that's great. I actually got a couple props here. The products really don't choose to, as you mentioned, we're not after the idea that we're faking a meat. We're more so focused on the idea of replacing it with something better. And so the products, the Next Veg label you can see here, and the products come in a patty-like form. And like a meat, products are, that helps?
Yeah.
And the products are usable and formable, shapeable, as you can see in the patty form, or maybe you want to turn it into something like a meatball.
Very nice.
We make a few different product lines. This one that I'm showing you right here is our original. It's really locally premised on an ingredient called the tepary bean. The tepary bean is a wonderful ingredient. Let me show you some of those as well here, if this hits with the camera.
Wow. Well, those are very pretty. They look healthy.
They are, and you can see the diversity in this crop. It's not the
Right.
typical kind of crop you might see in most commercial environments. I believe we may still be the only commercially marketed product that's based on the tepary bean. And so rather than the notion that we wanted to, aspire to smell, look, and taste specifically like something else, we really focused on the ingredients that we could purvey from the region or nationally that had the greatest quality to be delicious, nutritious, and sustainable. And in doing so, we found the tepary bean, Navajo blue cornmeal from the region that's milled for us up in Cortez, Colorado, very close to here, and delivered directly to us from that mill. We then, we take the ingredients like these and we combine them with things like organic oats and sunflower kernels. The Grand Canyon Spice Company, one of our neighbors, wood smokes real pure spices for us. And we combine these things into what I just showed you, this form factor that is really wonderfully easy to use because it has the sensibility, the functionality, the versatility of a meat product, yet still has, well, I guess the easiest way to say it, the number one compliment we always get is when I eat a Next Veg burger, I can still see all the wonderful ingredients that it's made of. I can see the fresh carrots. I can see the oats and the sunflower kernels.
I love that.
Et cetera, or even the onions in the product.
Well, I love that, and I also love the fact that so many of the products are made here, right in Arizona, and dry farm, the tepa bean. I've never heard tepary bean. I've never heard about that until I met you. So, give me a little history on that.
Some people call it tepary, some people call it tepary.
Oh, okay.
It's really about the idea of this product specifically comes from a place called Ramona Farms. They're just south of Phoenix. And they have a wonderful story about, finding this tepary bean in the attic in a ball jar that Ramona's father had stored for years, and it hadn't been part of their agriculture for a long time. And they brought it back to life, and they, farm on the Gila River Bend Reservation. We get the beans directly from them, which is really important to me as part of the local economy, that the quality of the money isn't diluted by multiple processors and distributors between us and the farm. We really get to give that whole dollar back to them. And clients, even as big as, the restaurants serving Yavapai Lodge in the Grand Canyon, can buy directly from us and thereby support the local economy to an even greater degree.
Well, I've had your next ski burger, and that's your creation, named after you at Diablo Burger in downtown Flagstaff, and it's absolutely delicious. I believe we have a picture of something similar, your burger at the Toasted Owl in Flagstaff, and you really talk about the benefits of whole food. So tell us the backstory. What motivated you to create this product?
Interestingly enough, I grew up in the Midwest and, always had a sort of a meat and multiple veg sort of dinner. A side salad was how my mom always cooked, very whole food focused. And yeah, there were some, Twinkies and things like that in the house. But my second sort of father, the person I went to for a lot of advice growing up, around 18, he fell ill. He acquired an ailment called Crohn's disease. And we were told that he was given 6 months to live.
Terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying, scary, and the closest thing that had happened to me. And what I watched happen was his incredible wife read through Michio Kushi's work on macrobiotics, which is really a whole food, predominantly plant-based diet. She changed everything in his diet. And we're talking, I just turned 50. This was when I was 18. And he's still alive today. They live actually now in Arizona as well, down in Scottsdale. But that burger that you were showing was actually from the Toasted Owl here in Flagstaff. And you can reach out to the Toasted Owl. The owner's usually in one of her restaurants, and she's got incredible stories about impacting her own health by changing over the last couple of years to a whole food, plant-based diet. The power of real food is very, very well evidenced, whether you read Michael Pollan's work or you see the plant pure work of Colin Campbell or Dr. Gregg or Dr. Esselstyn, all these different people. 35 years of science that's saying heavily processed oils and isolates really can be detrimental to our health, while when we eat real whole food, it actually invigorates us and stimulates great health. And so 20 years of an organic food movement, a very strong local food movement, which local food is, if you really think about it, is really about fresh food, right? Fresh,
Sure.
whole food that where it came from. And so, to me, the local food essence of our company, which is actually called Local Alternative Foods, and NexVeg is the brand, is all premised on that experience I had and the information from reading, and researching from all of these different resources that say, well, if we had a wonderful whole food-based product at the basis for a protein, whether we knew it or not, every time we take a bite, we might be impacting our health positively. We might be impacting the environment positively.
How incredible. I love the success stories that you have. And also that must be incredibly gratifying to know that you're helping people. Well, you started selling your food at the Flagstaff Farmers Market about 10 years ago. It's a very popular place in Flagstaff. And you told me that locals wanted to know where they could find your restaurant.
I came here as a guy, as a mechanical engineer that wanted to change my career path to being about food, and the local concept was so important. So we had originally got to the farmers market by starting a local food catering company. And that started from being a volunteer for Flagstaff Food Link and the SETI organization here in Flagstaff, and helping to run fundraisers where people were eating food that I was preparing and saying, where can we get your food? And
Fantastic.
I was just some guy helping out at the time. So when we made it to the Flagstaff Farmers Market, it turned out that the Diablo Burger that you mentioned was actually having a contest to create a better veggie burger than they could find from the big broad line distributors that they were working with. And so the first version I brought them was actually almost 90% kale, and they loved it, but said, we'll never serve a green burger here.
Okay.
And 48 or so versions later, we had what ultimately became the Netski on their menu, and we're several versions later after that, as well as have 3 different product lines: the tepary bean, a black bean, a hemp and seed version, and 11 different SKUs based on flavors and form factors.
And I think you told me the hemp and seed version is something that no one's doing right now.
Not that we've seen. The tepary bean with the dry farming nature, the local essence, is an incredibly sustainable resource. In fact, it's known as one of the most sustainable proteins on Earth. The only thing I ever found that can compete with its nutritional quality and its sustainable resource is the hemp kernel. And so we integrated the hemp kernel into our next version of product, as well as pumpkin seeds, and have a full product line based on this. The NAU Climate Sciences Department has helped us build a calculator so that we can actually calculate the emissions from our products even before we prototype them. And this product is, a fraction, about a third or less of the carbon footprint of any other protein we can find in the industry.
Well, that's really important to a lot of people, the environmental aspect of how food is made and how food is processed. But Flagstaff is also a town that prides itself on healthy lifestyles, on being active and being outdoors and eating healthy food. Yet I know you were concerned about launching your Next Veg product because you thought the market might already have been saturated with plant-based products.
It's really interesting. We started about the same time or before a lot of the major revolution that took place in the plant-based. But what I think we really saw was, right after we got with the Diablo Burger, a local concept group that owns the historic brewing company in Arizona, they came to us and said, "I just ate your product at Diablo Burger. Can we get it?" And then the Mama Burger here in town. And then we got some help from NACET, the Center for Emerging Technology here in Northern Arizona. They helped advise and create connections. And we did see, as you pointed out, that the CPG or the consumer product side of things was starting to get kind of busy in the plant-based space. And I didn't have a background in that, but food service really still had no options. And that was where we started, where Diablo came to us. You could still just get these heavily processed isolates and gluten-based, allergen-based products. And it was your mercy of whatever the distributor had to offer you. And so we really put our effort there. And now, just as of the end of last year, we're finally have our product listed with Cisco here in the desert region. You might know is the largest food distributor in the world. Greco and Sons, a company that Cisco actually recently bought. Sterling Meats. We also distribute directly, and through FedEx, we're able to reach clients as far away as Iowa City, Reno, even Fort George Brewery in Astoria, Oregon is using our products.
Right. And I know it's also in Williams and Grand Canyon and a number of other places, and also the Pita Jungle, which is a chain where you can find that as well.
Yeah, that was a really fun project working with Pita Jungle just at the end of last year to invent the first whole food plant-based gyro. And again, the goal isn't that it tastes exactly like lamb-based gyro meat, but as you can see in that photo, it works on the pita with the same ingredients that you would normally plate a gyro with, and has that flavor profile that really meets the need and desire of a plant-based diner that would be going there. So we've really worked heavily with, it's an Arizona-only chain with 22 locations, and being so local gave both us and them a unique opportunity that they really wouldn't have had at their scale, and nor would we have had at our scale, to make something so custom and so unique for a local business.
Yeah, one of my favorite restaurants. And Northern Arizona is popular among tourists as well, especially as the temperatures heat up in the valley. And that has really worked well for you also to introduce Next Veg to a broader audience. You shared a story with me about a daughter of a Phoenix physician. Let me know if I'm getting this right. And she insists that her dad drive her to Flagstaff for the Netski burger.
It was funny. He was an old college buddy, and I hadn't spoken to him in maybe a decade. And we caught back up. I don't remember how, but he said to me one day, we were talking, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Told him I'm doing. He's like, wait a minute. You're the Netski burger? And I was like, yeah, how many Netskis have you ever heard of? Right. And he said his daughter wanted them to vacation here in Flagstaff so that she could go to Diablo and eat Netski burgers.
Oh, fantastic.
And, in fact, he just sent me a photo 2 days ago. He was down at Trueland, which opened a new location just south of Chandler, and sent me a photo of himself eating another Next Veg burger down there.
Well, it's good to have friends and friends with daughters who love your product. So you launched Next Veg about 5 years ago. And as the demand has grown, you are manufacturing something called micro batches. So tell us a little bit about that.
Microbatching is really a methodology to production. It's based on the theory of lean manufacturing that's really been brought to the world so extensively by Toyota, and isn't really that common in food as it is in hard goods. And so the key to this is that by doing things in small batches, we're able to control the quality and even the food safety, all of the attributes that surround the idea that you want to process really fresh food into another form without heavily processing it, without adding chemical ingredients, and just taking advantage of its true nature. So it's the combination of the flavors and even the combination of the nutritional aspects. For instance, tepary beans are one of the highest iron legumes that you can find, but our bodies don't absorb that without a quality citric acid. So we hand squeeze lemons into every batch for fresh lemon juice to combine with that, which gives us, moisture and flavor as well as makes that iron bioavailable. So the microbatching is really a methodology that empowers us to make really unique products.
Well, I think I learned something new every time I talk to you, and you are certainly the perfect entrepreneurial poster child for Flagstaff, both in your product, your company, and how you live, how you enjoy being outdoors. So tell us a little bit about how you came to find Flagstaff and move there.
We were living in Evanston, Illinois, and kind of searching if we could take a vacation somewhere reasonably close overnight or whatever to just get a square inch of silence. And it was at least an 8-hour drive from there to try and find, any really out of the Chicagoland area to find any remote places that, weren't completely overridden by mosquitoes or that didn't have traffic still going by. And so here in Flagstaff, I can take a vacation, out my back door into the forest preserves and the access to clean air, the wildlife. I mean, last week I was driving up to the canyon, making a delivery to the Yavapai Lodge, and I actually saw, I don't know if it was a gray wolf, but it was a gray wolf with a very thick winter coat run across the highway in front of the truck. I mean, gray wolves aren't even supposed to be in this part of Arizona. They're in the south. An amazing experience that I just so much pleasure from being here in Arizona and the access to the outdoors.
Right, and the wildlands and the wildlife, it's all so amazing. So tell us how people all over Arizona can enjoy Next Veg.
A great question. Let me start up here in Flag. From the Grand Canyon, I mentioned at the Yavapai Lodge, they're serving 3 different Next Veg products. If you go north of Flagstaff, that's really your whole food vegan opportunity. But here in Flag, whether it be Brandy's locations or the tourist home, if you go to Sedona, maybe the Creekside Bistro or the Sedona Beer Company, which is so sustainably focused. Down in the valley, there's multiple VIG locations, as well as Schmooze Eatery, and even into Tucson. The Tucson CSA we package up small packs, they sell to consumers, or the Gray's premium burger locations. If you're looking for one, there's 2 great ways to find it. NexVeg.com. At the very bottom of the page, it says restaurants that serve NexVeg. You click on that, you actually go to our master website at localalternativefoods.com into the blog restaurants page, which shows a big list and a big map of the different places that you can find our NexVeg products.
Fantastic. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on all your success. And I hope you'll come back and join us again. And really, I can't wait to try all your products. So thank you, and take good care out there.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thanks so much for running this podcast and helping out Flagstaff to just get exposed, so much exposure to so many people.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, you can find out more about NexVeg in May's Flagstaff Business News and flagstaffbusinessnews.com. Also, as Jonathan mentioned, visit Jonathan Natsuki's website at nexveg.com. While we're on the topic of healthy living, let's move on outside to about 10,000 feet, where Arizona Snowbowl Marketing Coordinator Angelina Grubb is joining us with healthy outdoor activities. Hi, Angelina. Are you there? There you are.
Hi there. Good morning. Yeah, so I am up at Snowbowl right now. I'm currently at about 9,000 feet in elevation, but our peak elevation is 11,500. It's been a super great season up here, and the conditions are still amazing.
Yes, and so from here on out, and you hope to make it till May, is that right?
We are shooting to make it to the early May month, but we will probably make it through the end of April at least.
Well, fantastic. And I know you have a very special day out there going on right now with the cardboard derby. I wanted to show everyone what that looks like. I was just up at Sipapoo, and this is what the cardboard derby looks like. You can see this is near Taos, New Mexico. And it was so much fun. Every child from Taos must have been up there with their homemade cardboard sleds. We had everything from trains to mermaid contraptions, and it was such a hoot. There were commentators, and they were giving a play-by-play. I'm guessing it's similar to what's happening out there today with great high-energy music and a ton of awards, including Best Crash, which of course I love. So the reason I'm mentioning Sipapoo, and that is a ski area that is part of the Mountain Capital Partners. And this is the group that owns Arizona Snowbowl along with Purgatory Resort north of Durango, Colorado. It's another one of my favorites, fantastic and beautiful family ski area. And they're all under the leadership of managing partner and CEO James Coleman. And in my recent Sipapoo experience, it really struck me and underscored the efforts that James Coleman is making, promoting for years that this is a family atmosphere, the inclusivity and opportunities for people of all ages and abilities to just have fun on the slopes. And Angelina, I know Snowbowl has one of the largest or the largest beginners area in the Southwest, and you also have an amazing adaptive ski program. So no one ever needs to feel left out.
Of course, and that is always the goal up here at Snowbowl. James Coleman, MCP, and all of the resorts within MCP's collective, we all take pride in striving to always put skiing first and always allowing for the freedom to ski. So we do offer passes such as the Power Kids Pass, which allows all kids 12 years and younger to ski free at Snowbowl, as well as 7 other Power Pass resorts within the Southwest region.
You said 12 and under for free?
Yep. So all
Fantastic.
kiddos 12 and younger get to ski for free at 8 resorts within the Southwest region.
Oh, that is so incredible. And I know, I ski at Snowbowl every week, or at least as much as I can. And it's an amazing 30 to 40 minute drive from downtown Flagstaff. So convenient. I used to purchase the weekday season pass because that really works with my schedule. It makes sense in my life. And it is such a great deal. Tell me about that one a little bit.
Yeah, so the weekday pass is an incredible pass. It's actually a customizable pass, so you can actually pick which dates that you'd like. You can pick anywhere from all 5 weekdays to just taking Monday to go ski or Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So ultimately, it's the pass that works best for you. You can customize it to whatever works for your schedule.
Well, this year I have the Power Pass from Arizona Snowbowl, and this is just a magic ticket because I can get 3 days of free skiing at the other ski areas in the collective, and you just use it like you're in a lift line. You don't even have to redeem any tickets. You just ski right in. You can enjoy and explore all of these wonderful places and great communities. And, of course, while you're there, you've got to sample the local food, amazing Mexican food, and Hatch green chilies in New Mexico, wonderful food in Colorado communities. And anyhow, I just did this trip from Snowbowl in Flagstaff to Purgatory in southern Colorado, and then over to Sipapoo in northern New Mexico for a week. And it was such a fantastic trip, and all with the Power Pass. Talk about that one.
Yeah, of course. The Power Pass is the ultimate ticket to every resort in the Southwest. The Power Pass does give you unlimited access to 8 Power Pass resorts within the Southwest, including Purgatory, Nordic Valley, Bryan Head, even Spider Mountain, which is a bike park in Texas. The Power Pass does come with 6 25% off discount codes for you to use for your friends and family. And it also comes with 3 days at each resort, which is Monarch, Copper, Sundance, and Loveland ski area. So you can get 12 days added extra onto that pass, and there are absolutely no blackout dates on the Power Pass.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that there are just so many great opportunities, and now is really the time to think about it. And I know that with these season passes, oftentimes you'll get discounts at restaurants and also at shops.
Definitely. So with the Power Pass and the new 12-day Power Pass, which was originally named the Power Pass Select, it is the same exact pass this year, but we did just give it a brand new name. So the Power Pass and the Power Pass the Power Pass and the 12-day Power Pass do allow for rental discounts, lesson discounts, as well as food discounts. So there will be a 10% discount added on if you have your season pass with you, and that is collective wide. So whether you're at Snowbowl, Purgatory, out in Texas at Spider Mountain, any of those resorts, you can use your Power Pass discounts.
And I know a lot of people are thinking about summer right now. And of course, I send a lot of folks up to the Arizona Gondola for amazing views all across the landscape. So tell us that must be starting pretty soon.
It is starting pretty soon. So Snowbowl will be kicking off summer in late May. We do not have an exact date right now for the opening of summer, but we are super excited for it. We will be running our scenic gondola rides again this year. With the scenic gondola ride, you can take a round trip ride all the way up to the top of the mountain, all the way up to 11,500 feet. And you can see views of the valleys, of the Grand Canyon, of Sedona. And then you can hang out there for as long as you'd like. There will be park rangers up there this summer to kind of give some information on the mountain and the cultural significance of this mountain. And then also we will be having children's activities this summer, along with live music and, restaurant and dining available every single day up at Snowbowl.
So it will be a happening place, as always. So thank you so much, Angelina Grubb with Arizona Snowbowl. Come back and join us again soon. I love to hear what you guys have going on.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, and we hope to see you up on the slopes soon.
Oh, you bet. Well, if you want to smile all through winter next season, go to snowbowl.ski right now and start making plans and getting excited. I know that I am. Let's go from Arizona Snowbowl at 11,500 feet into space with my next guest. Lauren Edgar is a research geologist based at the USGS Astrogeology Center in Flagstaff. She's teaching astronauts about rocks so they know what to look for when they land on the moon or somewhere else, like an asteroid or even Mars. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here. And you've got, what are we seeing behind you? It looks like Meteor Crater.
Yes, yeah, this is Meteor Crater. I'm calling in from home, but wishing that I was in the field right now.
Fantastic. Well, you are an astronaut trainer. You take astronauts to the high desert rocky terrain of northern Arizona, which mimics the lunar surface.
Yeah, that's right. Flagstaff is actually a great place to train because there are a lot of fantastic planetary analogs in close proximity. So these are places that represent similar processes or environments that we might find on other planets. And in northern Arizona, we have one of the best preserved impact craters at Meteor Crater, shown here behind me. We also have a lot of basaltic volcanic environments that are good analogs for the moon or Mars. We have the Grand Canyon with that great sedimentary sequence that's great for studying stratigraphy and tectonic processes. We even have places like the Cinder Lake Crater Field, which back in the 1960s was we generated 2 fields of craters using explosives to exactly replicate part of the moon. And all of these are great training grounds for the terrain and geology that we might expect to encounter on the moon or Mars.
Yes, I know all of these places. We've had astronauts there, and it's safe to say that every astronaut who's walked on the moon has trained in northern Arizona. I know they've been in Meteor Crater and out on the volcanic field and also on Babbitt Ranches, just a number of places.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely a great place for training.
And you've been training this group. I believe they're the astronaut class of 2017, right? And they're called the Turtles. And
Yep.
And I think it's interesting to note that the class that graduated before them gets to name the next class. So that's how they got their name.
They got their name. There was a quote about, being turtles on a fence post. And, if you see a turtle on a fence post, you know that it didn't get there on its own.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of, one of the reminders for this class that, they are, standing on the shoulders of all of these people that came before them. And, we're certainly hoping for great heights for this group.
And you and I have talked before about the importance of teamwork and what you're looking for in astronauts. And that's certainly a key character trait.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, we have a picture of you with Jessica Watkins in northern Arizona. And Jessica is a geologist, and she's also an NASA astronaut. And you two have crossed paths a few times. So I love this story. Share some of this story about the two of you and kind of having parallel lives.
Sure, yeah. So I first met Jessica at a planetary volcanology workshop in Hawaii. And then we were actually fortunate to work together on the Mars Science Laboratory Curiosity rover team. My PhD advisor was actually her postdoc advisor, so we definitely overlapped a bit in our research and working together through mission operations. And it's been really fun to see, the course of her career. And it's been great to work with Jessica through all of these astronaut training activities as well.
And something really special is happening coming up this month on April 20th. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Jessica will be launching on Crew 4. And so I'm heading out to the Cape, and I'm really excited to see Jessica and the rest of her crew launch to the International Space Station.
Well, I think that is so significant on so many levels. But one of them, you were telling me a story in 2019 about growing up, and you were 8 years old and you were at Cape Canaveral. Both of you, Jessica and you, as little girls, as 8 and 9-year-olds, decided you wanted to be part of space exploration. So tell us the story about Cape Canaveral. Let's go back to that second grader and how amazing that experience was.
Yeah, so I guess I really have to say that, my passion for space exploration started when I was in second grade, and I was visiting my grandmother in Florida and had the opportunity to see the launch of the Discovery Space Shuttle. And I remember standing there completely in awe and processing the idea that there were people on board and they were leaving this planet. And it just kind of, blew my mind when I was in second grade. And it really made me wonder what else was out there. And I was totally hooked. And I've been, fortunate to pursue a career in space exploration. I definitely love my job and feel so lucky to have found that inspiration when I was so young.
Well, I want to talk about Jessica for a moment, too. So she grew up in Colorado, and she told me back when she was in Flagstaff that she decided she wanted to be an astronaut when she was 9. And I think it's interesting to note that both of you were, when you were little girls, Sally Ride, you were born in the decade that Sally Ride became the first woman in space in 1983. And so you didn't have a ton of role models, yet you both have kept this intention, this goal in front of you and worked hard, I'm guessing every day at some level, to get where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that there weren't as many female astronauts when we were growing up, but the field is definitely changing and becoming more diverse and more balanced. And I think, the cause is just so inspiring. And so I feel lucky to have grown up in a time where it felt like everything was possible.
So, Lauren, I don't know if you remember this quote that you gave me when we were talking a couple of years ago, but I asked you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And you said, I would love to say that in 5 years, I'll be helping to support the next generation of astronauts in their return to the surface of the moon. I'm also excited about a number of upcoming Mars missions. Well, that was only 3 years ago, and yet that's exactly what you're doing. And you're going to be at Cape Canaveral this month on April 20th, and we'll see you there while your friend Jessica is inside the rocket. And that must be just mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to see how true that prediction has turned out to be. Really looking forward to heading to the Cape and seeing the Crew 4 launch. Really excited for Jessica and the rest of her crew. And, of the astronauts that I've helped to train recently, 2 of them are actually on board the ISS right now. So that's Kayla Barron and Raja Chari. And then Jessica Watkins and Bob Hines will be joining and, relieving them. And all 4 of these astronauts were part of that 2017 class, the Turtles. So definitely excited for them, feeling a lot more emotionally invested seeing this launch than that very first one that I saw when I was in second grade, and feeling, just really grateful to be a part of all of this.
Boy, I bet. And it really is history repeating itself with you out there. And Jessica is scheduled to be the first Black woman on a space station mission with an extended stay. She's already been named to the Artemis mission. That's the Artemis mission, helping to send astronauts back to the moon in 2025. And that crew hasn't been named yet, but a little insider information. Is Jessica a strong candidate for that crew?
Yeah, so I certainly can't speculate about who will be on that crew, but I can say that all of the astronauts that are part of the Artemis team are a fantastic group, and I'm really excited, to see that many of them are getting their first spaceflight experience, which will definitely prepare them well for those early Artemis missions. And we certainly hope that many of them will also be returning to Flagstaff as part of their upcoming training.
Well, I think I can say we're all just in awe of you women making history. And I found another quote that you gave me. I asked you about your role model. Do you remember that question?
I do. I know where this is heading.
Yeah. So you said you were in middle school and you had the opportunity to connect with Apollo 17 Commander Eugene Cernan. And do you remember the quote that you gave me?
Yeah, so I had interviewed him for a job shadow project and kind of kept in touch with him over the years. And one of my favorite quotes from him was, Somewhere on Earth today is the young girl or boy, the possessor of indomitable will and courage, who will lift that dubious honor from me and take us back out there where we belong. And he certainly knew how to inspire the next generation to follow in his footsteps. And I'm really proud to be working towards that legacy.
That is so exciting. And Lauren, you and Jessica and so many others are no doubt inspiring young people today. We wish you all the best. And please come back and talk to us soon. We'll be thinking about you.
All right. Thank you so much for your support and for having us. I really appreciate it.
We'll read more about Lauren Edgar and Jessica Watkins at flagstaffbusinessnews.com. And I am just so amazed and proud of these women who are making world history from Northern Arizona, keeping their childhood dreams front and center and taking the steps every day to make them come true. This is Zonie Living, Business, Adventure, and Leadership. I'm Bonnie Stevens.